Hello and welcome to our front yard garden. Got confused there for a second. Here in the South Carolina Upstate, it is April 26th, 2024. This is episode 12 for 2024, and it's kind of an overcast day. Not the usual clear skies that we typically see around this time of year, but there's really not any rain in the forecast. It's about 55 degrees, supposed to be about 70 by the time all is said and done today. So not a bad day for something like this. You don't get the shadowing that you get on a really sunny day. So we'll get to it. As always, we're starting with our mailbox bed here in the front yard, and the clematis are fully in bloom. These Giacomini clematis with the dark purple color completely covering the mailbox makes it hard to even get mail into it at this point. We also have our maroon clematis, nowhere near as large, but still impressive nevertheless, and the two of them together really give a nice appearance to the front of the house, especially in contrast to the yellow of the pansies, which are still doing very well. Something else that we've added here in the past few days are some vinca. These have done traditionally very, very well in this bed. We also have had some that came up from seed last year. I don't know if we'll get that again this year or not, but the ones that we just put in should do well. At the moment, they're not looking real robust, but they will come along as they really enjoy the conditions in this area and the soil type. We also have our one little rose here kind of hanging on. I don't know if it's going to do anything or not. It's given us some little lavender colored roses, very blooms rather, very fragrant every year, but it has not exactly thrived as a plant. It'll give us a handful of flowers, nothing at the moment, no buds or anything, so time will tell. Of course, we have our daffodils and tulips that are all done for the year, and then we have some phlox that we've put in. They'll start blooming later on, and an Asiatic lily out here that's slowly growing, and one iris that's in bloom. Just one. We have several irises, but that's the only one that's giving us a flower so far, at least. And otherwise, that's it for this bed. We may put in some zinnias later in the spring or into the summer. We typically, if you've watched these videos in the past year, we usually have gigantic zinnias that get to be 3 feet tall by the end of the season, but we're not sure if we're going to do that or not. Now, coming up here, we've got our petite knockout rose doing pretty much the same thing it did last year. It's a little bit bigger, about 3 feet tall. And that's about as big as they get, covered with roses, beautiful little plant. And it's surrounded by these purple pansies and what's left of the creeping phlox. These have done very well, but they peaked probably about 3 weeks ago, slowly dwindling. We'll probably have a few flowers left for the next few weeks, but that's about it. And then one other thing over here amongst the grass and the weeds is some dianthus. These pale lavender or pink ones doing nicely, not putting out the numbers of blooms like these over here, but still a nice addition to that part of the yard. Now, Jenny, my wife, put in some marigolds. We have these big, we call them pom-pom marigolds. They have these huge flowers on them that are a good 3 or 4 inches across, and it's just a type of typical African marigold, but very, very pretty. And then still have our pansies, Johnny Jump Ups, the little miniature pansies, doing well also. And then as we look further back, we've got our climbing rose, which has had some problems this year. I don't know if it's just because the trellis keeps falling over, we haven't secured it yet, or if there's something else going on with it. But it doesn't have a lot of leaves right now, but it has put out a couple of beautiful flowers and it has a number of buds on it, so we're going to get some color out of it finally. And last year it did really, really well. It's got a lot of buds now, so hopefully it'll continue to bloom nicely in the coming weeks. Got some Asiatic lilies back in here, some Russian sage, and that's the sort of delicate looking plant here. These will put out some light purple flowers later in the summer. Of course, irises are beautiful, bearded iris. They've been peaking really throughout April. Hopefully they'll continue for a while. We've got a bunch more over here. They have spread out more and more each year. At some point we're probably going to need to cut them back so that they don't take over everything else up here. We have some creeping phlox. We've got some black-eyed Susans that have reseeded on their own from the backyard in here. So there's a bunch of other flowers that'll bloom as the year progresses. But right now the irises are kind of taking all of the attention. Clematis also. Clematis are growing up along these rose vines. The roses themselves aren't doing a whole lot. They've put out a few flowers so far, but not a ton, with both yellow and red. We've got some blooms, or not blooms, but buds here that you can see. I'm not even sure. I think those are red. The red usually do much better than the yellow in this area, but the clematis do better than all of them put together. So spring is always an exciting time around here. Our garden is really oriented towards being in bloom to some extent throughout most of the year. And you know, if you've been watching any of these videos from the beginning, we started in mid-February with just daffodils and a few hyacinths, and then gradually everything else comes out. But the biggest time of year is right now, the month of April. It's just an absolutely spectacular time, and so hopefully it'll continue a few more weeks. But then as the spring flowers start to finish up, our summer flowers will take over, like these hydrangeas. And these are just starting to put out their buds right now, but in another month or so, these will start to bloom with their big pink and blue flowers. And then I always show off our lemon and orange tree. Not doing that well this year. They're having some problems, so I'm not sure what's going to come of that moving forward. But they're having trouble like a lot of potted plants do. They're not really meant to do well in this area, but they typically are a little more tropically oriented. But they've been growing for about 3 years now, putting out some buds and some flowers, but no fruit yet. More hydrangeas over here, and actually I just saw this. Our first hydrangea has actually opened up. This is way ahead of schedule by about a month. Not sure why that one came out so much earlier than the others, but it is. It's kind of nice to see. The others will follow a few weeks down the road. Just since last week, our viburnum have really completely finished up. They are done up here in the front. And that was even without having a lot of hot weather. They were big white snowball type flowers as of last week, and they are pretty well done. Other things though that are doing well, still some pansies, some snapdragons that have come back from the last couple of years. We've had some creeping jenny here. Doesn't flower, but it's a nice little ground cover plant. And another beautiful, albeit small, snapdragon there. We put those in about 3 years ago in the spring, and they some of them have come back, some have not. This group has come back with a vengeance. These are doing better than anything else in the yard, and should continue to give us more flowers. We've got quite a few buds on here, so hopefully for a few more weeks we'll get a lot of color out of those. And the last time I came over here, we still had some tulips. They are now gone. So I expected that. We had just a little group of 3 traditional Darwin tulips there. They are finished up now. This hillside has not, we haven't really done a whole lot with it. We put in some ground cover evergreens just to kind of help prevent erosion. And they've taken a number of years, but they've slowly spread out. We need to get in here and weed, because I do see some poison ivy in here, and we want as little of that as possible. Poison ivy is not my friend. I am highly allergic to it. Over here, we're back over in viburnum territory. We still have over here, at least, where it's a little shadier, a few of these that are still giving us a little bit of color, but these will probably be gone within a couple of days, depending on what the weather does. You can see the petals all over the ground, and we had several more up through here. And this past 2 or 3 weeks has really been just a spectacular time in our garden. Got some Siberian yellow irises here, doing very nicely. A delicate little iris compared to the big bearded ones. We have some more up in here that have just come out this week, and these are a nice little surprise. We really didn't have much here last year. These have done very well. We had a couple white ones that bloomed earlier, and you have to look. If you blink, these come and go very quickly. The bearded ones last a lot longer, so you get a little bit more bang for your buck. But these are a nice little alternative. Azaleas up in here, they're all done as well. So things come and go very quickly in a garden like this. The spring is notorious for that. The summer flowers tend to be out for a longer period of time. Sorry about that. And they'll bloom sometimes for several months in a row, but the spring flowers generally will come and go very quickly. Irises here, doing very well. And then our knockout roses, I always show these off. In fact, I did an extra kind of supplementary video last week, 2 days after the first video, because things were doing so well. It was really kind of a peak time for a lot of things. A lot of the knockout roses were peaking. Certainly these red ones were. And then we have these irises over here, a little different type with the white and the blue as opposed to the darker color that we have elsewhere in the garden. And actually we have a few of those back in there. And we have a few more. I didn't see these before, these little Siberian irises here. Those won't last long, unfortunately, but they will give us some nice, as I say, some nice alternative color to the traditional bearded iris. Up here we got a butterfly bush, which is just putting out its leaves right now. I'm not sure what it's going to do long term. It's gotten a little too big for its britches. We've got a lot of growth down here. We realistically should probably chop it back. We just haven't gotten around to it. We'll finish up over here in this bed. It's actually starting to sprinkle a little bit right now. It doesn't surprise me. It just looks like that kind of a day. And Jenny got some vinca in here in the past week. She also chopped back our grape hyacinths. Those are all the seed pods there, the greenery there. Then also some phlox up in this area, doing very well. And this has just started to bud since last week. We don't remember the name of it. I always refer to it as kind of a rock candy flower. It puts out these beautiful purple stalks of color late spring, early summer. Usually lasts for quite a while. And up here, as we get closer, we have our climbing rose giving us some huge blooms. It's gotten to be a pretty big plant. It's got 2 main sections covered with flowers, and this is the time to enjoy them because they typically just bloom in the spring, and then you get maybe a handful of flowers off and on the rest of the year. But looks like right now with all these buds that we're going to be getting color for a while yet. And of course some more irises, and then our big, three big knockout roses, actually four. We have light pink, dark pink, and then the coral in the back, all doing very well. Got some Asiatic lilies here that are finally putting out some buds. So we're going to get the first of those blooming before too long. And then as we come around, you really see the full extent of the knockout roses here, doing extremely well. It's the best year we've ever had for them, and that's after having been chewed on by our deer population over the winter. So even if you run into that wherever you are, if your deer chew on your knockout roses, it's not a bad thing. They will come back with a vengeance. Sometimes better than ever. More Asiatic and Oriental lilies over in here. Some of them being kind of squeezed out by all the knockout roses, but all doing very well. And then we have more dianthus down here doing well. We weren't sure if these were going to come back or not, but in the last week they've really popped up and come out in full bloom. So these are doing really, really well. And then this ground cover, or not ground cover, but these low-lying plants are Monarda. These come up every year, and they give us a lot of red flowers. They'll get quite a bit taller, probably about twice as tall, maybe 3-4 feet. And then red flowers in late spring and early summer, also known as bee balm. It's a really pretty flower, really kind of a strong sign of summer. Just showing you kind of the back end of this climbing rose here. It's absolutely beautiful. Just covered, probably right now it has a good 20 flowers open on various segments of it. It's kind of all over the place. We've got a couple of trellises there to try to keep it under control, but it keeps kind of growing off on its own. And then as we come back around, we're back where we started. So again, things looking really good despite a dark day. The only thing about a day like this is the color doesn't show up quite as well as it does on a sunny day, but still you certainly get a sense of the scope of all this. So we're going to do our backyard video soon and get these posted. Hopefully it's sunny wherever you are, and until next time, happy gardening.